It's great to get a chance to catch up with Steve Wilmot. Catching up with him is the hard part these days, as the tournament, the RBC Heritage, is now graduated to become a signature event. I'm going to ask you for your autograph later on because that's what it's all about. Explain to folks how a signature event next year is going to be different from the elevated and designated event you were last year.
Well, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for your support too. It's exciting for this community, not just for the Heritage Classic Foundation, the staff, and the board, but it's a compliment and to this community for the support for our partnerships and relationships of all. But the PGA Tour wanted to be here. The players wanted to be here. RBC wanted to be here. CBS wanted to be here. And to go through an exercise that we did that people don't realize, it's really about 16 months from June of last year to get to this point. And there's a lot to talk about between them, but we will be a signature event, one of 7 next year, just below the majors and the playoffs. So we are basically a mini major, a step down from the major. We will have a limited field, but we will be guaranteed to have the best players in the world. Our field will be somewhere which is different than what's been in the past.
Yeah, last year you were trying to stuff 140 players into a field. You're playing from sun up to sundown and more to try to get everybody in. And now a limited field. What, 70 to 80? 70
to 80 players, and the top 50 that are actually playing at the
right.
BMW are automatically in, and then there's a play-in and the 10 plus 5. So. Then world rankings and some other things, FedEx, that will come into play. But the interesting thing is the tour and working with them leading into the announcement, our team, Angela McSwain, our communications and all, and the messaging is the fact that the tour looked at these venues and the players wanted to play. They wanted to have the best players on the best golf courses, and you look at Riviera, and you look at Muirfield, and you look at Bay Hill, and you look at
Pebble,
and us, absolutely. And they look at the community, they look at engagement, they look at the history behind it. We'll be celebrating our 56th year at the same golf course at the Harbortown Golf Links. Our list of champions is who's who, and the historic and the iconic Lighthouse and all too. So it is going to be a bit of a different field, but we're extremely excited about it.
Let's talk a little bit about that different field. With fewer players, folks will be able to concentrate, and they're going to see just the best. They're not going to have to look at their program too much. You may lose program sales, but who's the guy in this threesome? Because they're going to know. They're going to know these guys. The guys do not have to come. That's a little different than the top 20 last year. But for $20 million, they'll pretty much all be here.
And they raised the first place, it was 18% of the purse to 20%, so first place will be $4 million.
Wow.
And one thing that people, not realizing too, we are up against an opposite field event, which only enhances our tournament.
Sure.
They will be playing a secondary PGA Tour event at Punta Cana that week, but that does not impact us one bit. It actually reinsures the fact that all the players will be here. And going back to your previous question, and the fact that last year, people don't realize we've been an invitational over the years, and 132 players last year because of the late designation of an elevated designated event. Our field got to about 150. So. Wow. So we had 18 additional players, 18 new players, 18 new caddies, 18 new families. Also created 18 more parking places, 18 more courtesy cars, and some other things. So, but we will be going backwards a little bit, but that's okay. It's a part of the experience that the players. We talked about last year putting our best foot forward.
Right.
Now we have to put our best foot forward, and
a 3-step.
And it's not a 4-step because this is a major to them. You know, so we want the experience from whether it is, you think about it, the driving range experience, the practice range experience, the food and beverage experience, the caddies experience, we want to make sure we elevate those experiences for these players that will be playing at the signature events.
We're going to talk with Steve. We're going to do a second segment, and we're going to run it a little later on, and we're going to talk to Steve a little bit about what it's going to mean to you and me and all of us coming out for this event. Again, with Steve Wilmot, the head of the Heritage Classic Foundation, tournament director of the RBC Heritage Signature for 2024.